My name is Lorraine Omley, and I grew up in Minneapolis, and now I live in Woodbury, and I work in St. Paul, so I consider myself a real person of the Twin Cities. Well, for me as an artist, I think to be true to who you are and to not be pushed one way or the other based on outside forces, and to just have that amazing joy and delight in finding out what you can create and then live with that. Actually put that in your home. I believe in selling your artworks, but I think to be surrounded by things that you've created is just really, really wonderful. It's interesting when you talk about just beginning, because I think anyone who wants to do any type of art probably at some point started when they were a young child, and somebody gave them a positive reinforcement for it. Someone said, that's great, or you can draw, or that looks interesting, and that just kind of gave you that feeling of, wow, I can do something, I can be powerfully creative. And I think that just never dies out in a human being. That spirit we see in all children. If you go into a kindergarten classroom, you ask, who are the artists? They all raise their hand. If you go into a 6th grade classroom, it dwindles down, or worse yet, kids point at other people and say, that's the kid that can draw. Whereas art and that type of how to begin is really not about your skills or ability. We can all increase our skills, we can all increase our ability, but the only thing you really need is your heart, your soul, and that wanting to show something that you really love that you have made. Oh, the thing I love the most about teaching is making sure that nobody feels the power of no, that everything is about the power of yes. If you've read anything about ad-libbing and improv, you find out that the one thing you don't want to do in improv is to say no. No matter what the other person is saying, you say yes. And I think that that is the most important thing to teach would-be artists, beginning artists, old artists, because everybody gets tired. And so what you want is that ability to go, I'm going to explore, I'm going to find out, and it just feels good, and not really worry about the things that don't really matter to you, which usually come from the outside. So I think if you listen to yourself and you teach people how to just look at their own work, find what's important to them, talk about it. Like when I was in art school, people didn't really like to be asked about their paintings, and I've taught classes to small children, 7 and 8-year-olds, who want to talk a lot to you about their artwork. So that tells me there's the truth in what a human being is. A real human being wants to talk about their work, wants to be critiqued, wants to grow, and it's just what our society has done to kind of change that makes that a problem. We really do love to dig deeper and find out who we are. First of all, for me, it's about always helping people. I love creative thinking. I love ideas. If I could have the perfect job, it would be in a think tank, because I love problem solving and I love connecting things and I love doing that. So I love helping people and I love liberating people. I like to help people see that what they are and what they are doing is good enough. Well, I think in terms of what I like to offer people when I teach them, I think a couple of things are really important. It's wonderful to be in an accepting, loving community, whether that's 5 people, 10, 20, 35. I've done all of those. And the size of the group doesn't really matter, but there has to be that love and acceptance, that people feel that whatever they're doing is them and therefore welcome. And then I think a really important part of being an effective educator and also helping people is that you need to work one-on-one with people. And so I love to make people fearless, that I'll give you some feedback, we'll talk about your work, but there's nothing really to fear, because it's all to bring out more of who you are rather than a critique like, is this going to be sellable, or is this going to be something that's new? It really is about personal satisfaction, personal growth, self-knowledge. It's about those wonderful things. And then, look what I made. Yeah. And then people go, oh, I like that. And you go, thanks. And it's just that simple. And that's what we all want in every aspect of our life. Look what I did. And people go, that really mattered. Thank you very much for making that. Well, it's really interesting to think about community. As a professional educator, I'm always concerned with community and building a great community. But I think that anyone in a creative act, if you look at schools of painting, schools of art, it's about like-minded people coming together. And in our modern society, where you have people kind of just going into their houses, shutting the door, going into their apartments, and being isolated, it's not the best for creativity. That's why you have think tanks. That's why you have people saying, let's talk about some things. That's why I think people love feedback. Me personally, if people say they love my artwork, well, that doesn't do me any good at all. I'd rather have them go, what's all that yellow for? And then you go, okay, I see that. Let me think about that. And so I think a place like Creator Space serves a real need, where here you are surrounded by tall buildings full of people, but maybe people are not really connecting on that wonderful level that we all really want. And so here would be, and I think the great part of that is that you'd have a diverse group, where it's not all painters, it's not all people into yoga, it's not all people who just love coffee, but you can then bump up against those very people, and they are not maybe your niche, but then you get to talk to people, and it feeds your creativity, because there's nothing like a book or an idea coming from a genre that's outside yours to really light you up. I've done that in my profession. I read lots of books that have nothing to do with my profession, and that's where I get the best ideas, is applying that or connecting it. It's a good thing. So I'm really hoping that a nice diverse group of people take this class, this painting class. I'd like to see beginners, and I'd love to see established people, because the one thing we all have in common is the power to create. And I think it's the most wonderful thing to see that a beginning student can sometimes wow a very established professional even. So I'm hoping for a nice variety of people coming together to do that. And the approach of this class is really to use paint to play, to go back to that which we were when we were small children, and just play with colors and see what happens, and then be able to step back and talk about it with somebody and see what strikes you about your artwork, and what you don't like, you paint over. That's the beauty of doing an acrylic painting class, because you can just paint over. 10 minutes later, you can cover up and change, and it just allows you to have that wonderful conversation with yourself. So I look forward to wonderful conversations with people, and freeing them and letting them express themselves, and then just having critiques and nice celebrations with the whole group, and just having a marvelous time.